All right, all right, all right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. As usual, I'm your host, Mark Pierce. Hope you're doing well today. It is Thursday. It's been a long couple of days, has it not? Yesterday, we did our top 20 songs from Eddie Van Halen. Put that together pretty quickly, but I'm pretty happy with my choices. Enjoying all the comments, people's stories about Van Halen, their memories, what they loved about Van Halen, and what they're going to miss about it. Their stories about the concerts they saw, the records that they listened to. Obviously, someone who's been woven into the fabric of our musical lives since we were teenagers. It is an incredible loss, and really, I thought about it, looked at my calendar, and I'm just not ready to pivot away from talking about him just yet. So I think we're going to spend a couple of 2-3 days in the cave talking about Eddie Van Halen, if you don't mind indulging me. But we're going to do that today and tomorrow, so I'm going to divide it up a little bit. I think what I'll do is I'll do a song from David Lee Roth years today, and we'll pick one from the Sammy Hagar years tomorrow for Octane Friday. So we're going to spend a little time talking about Eddie Van Halen. So appreciate everyone's comments. Keep them coming. It's a huge loss for all of us, right? So reading all these stories, you're getting tweets and messages from all kinds of musicians. I mean, you name it. All kinds of musicians are saying things about what a loss and how sad they are to hear that he's gone. So it's pretty amazing. As I said to someone the other day or on my comment section, Richard Blade from First Wave, I heard him on there, and he said he reported the news within the first hour or so, and said, well, we don't play this kind of music, but what a huge loss for the music world. And he played some Van Halen on First Wave. They played Jump, was pretty classy, so that was pretty cool. Obviously, a lot of heartfelt tweets from people that knew him, but just really, what an amazing guy, right? I had forgotten that he did some songs with Thomas Dolby, of all people. Their wives were friends, and he did some guitar work on two of Thomas Dolby's songs on one of his later albums. I had totally forgotten about that. But as I said earlier too, it's like his guitar playing, you just knew when it was him, right? He had that signature guitar sound. Now, what I also read was that pretty much all of his guitars, Frankenstein and on, were ones that were made either by him or under his direction. He did not deal with guitars that were coming off the shelf, so he made a lot of adjustments to his guitar. So that was kind of interesting. But you talk about guitar players, and he's right up there, right? Van Halen in general, I mean, the lead singers get a lot of airtime and get a lot of discussion. I mean, and that is, that's valid. And when you talk about bands, but you have to talk about bands whose lead singers during a time when they were hugely popular are no longer with the band. Either they passed away or they quit or got fired or whatever. So you think about that. And then if the band was able to reinvent itself and become just as big, if not bigger, with a second singer. I mean, how many bands have pulled that feat off? I mean, AC/DC pulled it off, but I didn't really spend too much time thinking about this. Who else was able to replace their lead singer after a hugely successful career and then continue to be as massive as they were? It is a very hard feat. I'm struggling to come up with more bands, and if I do, I'll post below. But if you have some, you let me know. But that is not something that you're going to see very often. And part of the reason is the people that were still there from one moment to the next, right? And so you just still had the core band, and Eddie Van Halen was the reason why. That guitar playing, that signature sound, just pushed him on through, right? I admittedly was anti Sammy Hagar takeover. I did not appreciate that. I was pretty irritated. I didn't want them to call themselves Van Halen, but I mean, half the band, his last name is Van Halen. But I was stubborn, and did not really listen to that first album. I was in David Lee Roth's camp the whole way. But then by the time OU812 came out, that pretty much blew away any concerns that I had and my stubbornness, because that album really just hit it out of the park for me. And I was always a Sammy Hagar fan even before that. I mean, he was on the soundtrack to the movie Heavy Metal, and he sang that song, and they were playing his songs on MTV before that. So I did come around. And so they're two distinct bands, but you think about the music, and it's always been about that guitar work. So again, what I said was we got into Van Halen pretty young, and it was a big deal. I mean, it was just like the guys that were ahead of us in high school. When I was in middle school, they were listening to Van Halen. There was one guy who had a Van Halen shirt, and he'd hang out in that smoking section outside, and he was just one of the school badasses or whatever. And you'd look and you'd be like, man, that is an awesome Van Halen T-shirt. And you just wanted to be, you just felt like you were cool if you were listening to Van Halen. Of course, we put that record on in our living room, and famously, my brother and I are sitting at the table getting ready to eat, and playing that record, and one of the swears came on, and we just kind of looked at each other and kind of laughed because it was kind of funny. But anyway, so for music, my all-time favorite album from Van Halen with David Lee Roth, by far, I mean, there's no question about it. Fair Warning is just unbelievable. I mean, it is just a punch in the face, is it not, with just these great songs. I mean, the guitar work, and it's so heavy, and it's what you wanted Van Halen to be after listening to some of those albums where he was singing a little bit more of his style, where it was just more fun, like Beautiful Girls, and you had all these Ice Cream Man, all this stuff. This was just pure rock and roll, and it was, to me, the definitive Van Halen album, and I just have played that thing to death. I just have. I mean, I can't pick a favorite song on there. It's just so good. But we're talking about Eddie Van Halen. So if you're going to take a look and see that, you really got, for me, you got to go with Mean Streets, right? Because Mean Streets is like the introduction, the first minute of that song is just a blistering guitar solo, is it not? I mean, it's just a huge entrance to that song. So that's what we're going to do today. I mean, this song, I listened to this album, I listened to several of the albums over the last 24 hours, but I listened to this one, and it's just like, I don't know, it is just good. It is just so good. If you have not listened to Fair Warning, play it today, the whole thing, front to back. It's awesome. I mean, it's just so good. So we're doing Mean Street, and turn it up. Just give it a listen. What a player, right? That's your song of the day. We're doing more Van Halen. We're going to talk some more Van Halen tomorrow. I'm playing it in my car. I'm playing it on my earbuds when I'm taking my walk. It's all Van Halen all day, all night. That's what we're doing. And I think I heard Van Halen playing in a minivan that drove by when I was going to the post office yesterday. I heard Van Halen. I turned, and it was a minivan, someone rocking out in the minivan to Van Halen. So everybody was just some kind of fan, even just a little bit, except for a couple of you out there, but I know who you are. All right, we're at 8 minutes. Have a great Thursday. Listen to that Van Halen. We're going to miss that guy. Enjoy it, and we're looking forward to tomorrow's Octane Friday. And as usual, catch you on the flip side.